Good morning. My name is Robbinwenzoski, Robbin's Amazing Art, Robin and Laura Wenzoski. I just received an order from Manpa Tools, from Manpa Tools Jack in South Korea, and I've worked with a lot of different tools, not only carving tools, but lots of tools over my life. So I'm going to do a assessment of the quality and assembly and instructions and all this. And I'll just go over first and kind of show you what we've got here. This one I set up already and I just give it a little quick whirl. That's all I've had time for right at the moment. But this has the rounded multi-cutter on it, okay, with 3 carbides. They work very well, very similar to Arbortech Industrial Carver, but there's quite a few companies designing these things. The difference between the cutter height and this height here, which is kind of like a height gauge on a chainsaw chain, determines how much each cutter takes off on each pass, and the smaller that is, the smoother it cuts, okay? The larger it is, the more aggressive it is. So what you want is a tool that you can remove wood with fairly quickly, but also use it with finesse, okay? So I received that multi-cutter, and also this one, which I haven't tried yet. Okay, so this is a wedge with nice sharp carbides on it, so I'm really curious about this one and how it'll work. And it also has 3 carbides, and they're also replaceable. And I'm going to mention, like most of these tools, you can turn this, okay? You can turn this 3 times before it's really dull. Same with the round ones. You can usually get about 3 turns out of it, turn 1/3 each time before they need to be sharpened, okay? They can be sharpened. You can sharpen them with a diamond and whatever. These ones are a little tougher, the triangles, to sharpen than the round ones. The round ones are quite easy to sharpen, okay? So that's the multi-cutter unit and these circular cutters, okay? I've got those 2, they're both 3-inch. That one, like I said, I set up, and it was pretty easy to set up. And I've put them on a variable speed, just a cheapo Princess Auto variable speed angle grinder. So we'll see how that works. So when it comes in the box, okay, it'll look something like this. I wanted to see how you get the guard off. This guard is for 3-inch, obviously quite a bit smaller. This is for the 4-inch. So I'm going to show you how if you have to change the guard on it, or you're changing your tools. Comes with a little wrench here. You can hold on to this end of the shaft. I just got that a little bit tight. So you spin off the locking nut, okay? And then what you do is you take, in the kit comes, I should go over this first, is a little 8mm wrench, a couple of Allen wrenches, also your tool to remove, it's a little Torx to remove the carbide cutters. You have your drive pulley, which goes on here, okay? That was already on there, the lock. It comes with the assembly, and this is all preloaded with a spring, which is nice because the belt tension is always the same. It also comes with 2 different rings, spacer rings. And these spacer rings, what they're for is to go on your grinder if this housing is smaller than what these are. So they have them marked, okay? This is for Bosch and Makita, and it's 42.5mm diameter, okay? This one is, I think, for a Korean or Chinese angle grinder, Kayang, okay? And it's 41.5mm. So if you need that on there, because there's a few different sizes of grinders, okay, that come with this housing is smaller or larger, it has to be able to fit nice and tight in here, okay? The trick on these is a nice tight fit that it clamps it on tight, so it keeps the belt in alignment, and this can't move, and I'll show you that once I get it on there, okay? So it comes with those 2 spacer rings, comes with a handle, wrench, like a normal spanner wrench for angle grinders, and it comes with your belt, okay, and your side handle. And on here, the side handle goes on to this side here, okay, like so. Now if you look at this grinder here, I just left the handle right on the side and it works fine there also. keeps it a little bit more back. The profile is a little narrower, back a little farther if you want to get into tight spaces. It's whatever works good for you. I think both are probably safe. There's no safety issues having it on the angle grinder itself. Okay, so I'll show you how to take this off. So you take your larger Allen wrench, loosen that off, and you've seen that pop out the spring. Okay, then you take your smaller Allen wrench, and down in here is a little set screw. You just loosen that, spin that back, and this thing will come right off. Make sure you don't lose the set screws out of them. Then you take this one and put it on, and put it so it's going to surround the wheel itself. You take your little Allen wrench and you spin it. There's actually, if I'll spin this back off for a sec, there's a divot where it locks in here, a countersink. Okay, so it's always in the right position and everything. So make sure that it goes down into that, and it should be flush against this surface. Snug that up. You don't have to go super tight, but tight enough that it ain't going to vibrate loose. So that's good to go now. Now we can put this back on here. Make sure that the open side where the pulley is going to be is the open side where the cutter will be. And you can push this down a ways because you're going to be putting the belt on anyways. Compress it a little bit. Tighten it up. Okay. Then the next step, which is one thing not really in the instructions, okay, but it's common sense also, is to lock this on here. So there is no wrench comes for that. So you can use a adjustable crescent wrench, Ukrainian socket set, whatever you want to call it. Okay, it's about a 7/8 in imperial. Make sure it's on nice and tight so it ain't gonna come off. Okay, so that's good to go there. Okay, then you press this down onto here. Make sure this bolt is loose, this cap screw bolt. That's your bigger Allen wrench. Make sure there's lots of play there. This fits pretty tight, so you use a fair bit of pressure and put it down until it's seated. And if you look inside here closely, you can see that this aluminum housing has a shoulder on it, and it's seated right against the grinder. So put lots of pressure on it. Make sure it's seated. Turn it where you want it. I like a little bit of an angle on it. Okay, like so. Make sure it's seated tight. Before you tighten that up, you can put your belt on. So the belt will slip right around there. Oop, I got to put it on this end first, sorry. Put it around like so, and then just run the belt around like that. And that's how easy it is to put the belt on. And if that's seated properly, your belt runs in alignment with the pulleys. If you look straight down, everything's in alignment. And this is some of the manufacturers that made attachments like this. That was one of the major problems that they ran into, was belt alignment. And if the belt isn't really heavy duty, and this is pretty good size, the belt will blow right off them. Okay, so that's something that was kind of a bit of a hard time with tools in the past that were similar to this. So looking at the quality of it, it looks like everything's machined nice. The only sharp edge I really found was there's a little bit of